guys. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and record the video. I'm gonna try to make it fast for you in hopes that you know, it's just not too long. So this is going to be fixing this pendant here that a customer sent to me. I don't know if you can tell in the video or not, but as you can see, there's a big scratch dent there, and the back of it is pretty, there's a big huge dent in, and it's just kind of, it's just losing its shine. It's got scratches on it, and it's losing the resin, is just kind of peeling. And this happens a lot from water exposure. This is something that happens when it's soaked in water constantly, because resin is waterproof. I want to make sure this is focusing. There we go. Although resin is waterproof, where you can, you know, get it wet, it's not meant to be constantly wet or constantly soaked in a bathtub or showered, you know, all the time. You know, taking one shower or two here and there is not going to destroy the pendant, but over time these kinds of things can happen where it just starts to wither away from the water. And it can just happen with any type of resin. I use ice resin. This is on the bottle. It says jeweler's grade crystal clear resin. So I don't go cheap with my pendant resin. I will even use it for my pyramids. I have tried using fiberglass resin for my periods. Did I just say periods? I'm sorry, I meant pyramids. But they just don't turn out as beautiful as the ice resin, so I end up using I'm so flustered right now. I don't know what I said there. But yeah, so anyways, I use the ice resin, and I'm going to show you how, if your pendant is looking funky like this and the back is coming off, I'm going to show you how to fix it. So I'm just going to take a file and kind of, I love these files. I get these at Sally's Beauty Supply, and they're really perfect for filing your Orgone, because they are nice and thick and coarse, and they're square, and they last a long time, and I love them. They're perfect. They're better than any file that I've ever used. They're $1.29 each. And they do last long, so you don't even need to buy a bunch, but because I usually make so many pendants, I just buy a bunch of them. And so I'm gonna file it. Actually, I've already mixed my resin here, so I need to move a little quick, but I'm going to take this lighter and get the rest of the bubbles out. I was letting it set. You want to let it set for a minute or two, because then all the bubbles will, ouch! Just be careful you don't burn yourself like I just did. But all the bubbles will float to the top, and then you can just kind of burn them off. You can also use a straw and blow them off, but I like to use fire because that adds a fire element to the Orgone, in my opinion. So because I like to add all the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and I think adding fire, using the lighter is adding fire, so that's why I like to use the lighter to blow the bubbles. But that's just my take. You can use a straw, that's using air. But anyway, so here is what I'm doing with this part here that's all indented. I'm just gonna file it down a little bit in hopes that, I've never had one that's all indented like this, so I'm hoping that the resin will just fill it in, because I don't want to I'm hoping that I don't have to put metals in there. This is gonna be a complicating fix, so keeping my fingers crossed that it works out the way I want. If it doesn't, I've got some little roses ready. I'm just gonna make a long pendant, because so here's I'm kind of rushing. What time is it? I'm kind of rushing through this video as quick as I can, because I have somewhere I have to be. So there's this little indent right here. This one kind of file that in so it kind of matches with the other. See how this is gonna, it looks like I'm scratching the pendant all up and ruining it, but it really doesn't matter, because there's gonna be a whole new layer of resin on top of this, and all these beautiful little opals are hopefully gonna be all back to their nice little shine again, how they were before. So I'm just gonna make this into a nice little round circle again. Okay, so wipe all that excess dust off. So now it's kind of filed down there. So now all I'm gonna do is just take it. I wanna make sure the molds are clear so there's no weird dust in there because I just filed over it, which is silly. You don't wanna do that, but I'm rushing and I probably should be not doing that, but okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a little bit of the resin that I've already mixed up and see how I've just let it set and there's basically no bubbles in there. You're just, make sure you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna pour a tiny bit in your mold, just like that. And I'm actually gonna put a lot in there because I want it to overflow to the sides of this pendant. If I was just, I've got some other ones here that accidentally, like, see this layer I have here of pendants, because you have to do them in layers so that the metal doesn't fall through and ruin your design in front. These actually accidentally fell out. So if I was gonna start over with these, I would just pour a tiny bit of resin in there so that I have room for my design, my metals, and everything else. But since I'm putting a whole pendant in there, I want to use a lot of resin. So I almost filled this all the way to the top because what I want the resin to do when I stick this pendant in there, I want it to, this is old resin right here, just get that off there. Okay. I want the resin to overflow to the top of this. So let me show you. You know what? I kind of want to put some gloves on. Hey, I'm just gonna take this pendant and squish it gently. So actually, I want to make sure all the bubbles are out of here again. Just a little bit came up to the surface again. And I don't want any bubbles. Ooh! Make sure I've got nothing strange in there. No dust particles or anything. And then that's one thing that can be really frustrating is when you're in the house or even outside, dust particles or animal hair flying around the room. It can ruin your entire pendant. It's just so frustrating. But anyways, so I'm going to take this pendant and just watch. So now I'm just going to push. Now see how the resin is coming up all around the edges? That's perfect. That's exactly what I want it to do. So I'm going to take it all around there. And so it's going to make the pendant be a little bit thicker and heavier. I mean, not by much. It's just a little extra layer of resin. But it's still going to look, hopefully, it should still look way better than what it originally looked like. I can't really show you from underneath, but you want to look under the mold to make sure there's no giant bubbles. Like you want to make sure that when you placed the pendant inside the mold, that no strange big old bubbles got captured in there. Otherwise you just destroyed the whole thing and you'll have to sand everything off and start all over again, and that is a pain in the butt. So now that I just did that, oops, I'm gonna go ahead and take my lighter and get all those bubbles off. Back was really lumpy, so I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna try to, oh actually now that I look at it, it already looks really smoothed out, so I can just take this excess resin that's hanging off the top and just kind of smooth it over. And that's how easy it is. And you just let it sit in the mold, and it should be completely, overnight tomorrow. Show you guys what it looked like. It should be as good as new tomorrow. And here it is. There is all the pretty opals sparkling and no scratches, no flaws on it anymore. The back still didn't turn out as smooth as I would have liked it to, but I couldn't really, there wasn't much I could do for that, only because It was already so high above the mold. If you noticed, the resin was already overflowing out of the top of the mold, so I couldn't really pile more resin on it without it leaking off. So that was the only part I didn't like, but it still filled in that part that was tearing off down here. It still filled that in quite well, and it's back to normal again and beautiful as ever. So that's how you do it. All right, thanks for watching.